Okay, here is the consumer notice. So, a couple of things that I want you guys to remember. This is not a contract. It says it on the document, and you should be explaining that to the people that you're talking to. Anytime there is a material conversation surrounding real estate, so a material conversation is people starting to give you information about their financial situation. They're starting to explain their family dynamic and who all needs to live in the home and what they're looking for and what they think their budget is, whether they've spoken to a lender or not. Those are all material conversations. So when there's a material conversation, by law, you guys have to submit the consumer notice and explain it to whomever you're talking to. So in this video, I'm going to give you a rundown of how I explain the document, the things that I say. You guys can use this for training moving forward. So when I'm meeting with a prospective client, I always say to them the following. So this is the consumer notice. It's not a contract. It by no means officially hires me to help you with regard to what you're trying to accomplish in real estate. However, anytime there's a material conversation surrounding real estate, I do need to present it to you. What this document does is it explains the 5 different types of agency relationship that you as a consumer can enter into with a real estate agent. Example is as a seller's agent. So if you had a home for sale that you wanted to sell and you wanted to hire me to help you get that home prepared, get it properly priced and listed in the multiple listing database, and manage the showings and the offers that come in and negotiating, you would be hiring me as your seller's agent or listing agent. The second type of agency relationship is a buyer's agent. So if you are in the market to purchase a property and you are looking to hire me to help you find the property that you're looking for, ensure that we're matching the price that you're willing to offer against the comps and what the market will bear, getting you through the buyer contract to close property process and to settlement. The third type of agency relationship is what we call a dual agent. So this would be in effect if I currently had a listing that I had been hired by a seller to help them sell, and the person I'm talking to would be the perfect buyer for that particular listing. And both the buyer client and the listing client are in agreement that they want me to represent both of them in the same transaction, I would then be acting as a dual agent. Designated agency just means there are 300 real estate agents that are all hanging their license within our Keller Williams Collegeville location, but you, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer or Mr. or Mrs. Seller, are not working with all 300 agents. You'll be working with me as your designated agent. Final role that a real estate agent can play with a client is something called transaction licensee. Now, our errors and omissions insurance in Keller Williams Collegeville does not include the ability for any of us to operate as a transaction licensee. So this is not a service that you guys are able to provide. But the way that I explain it is as follows. The most typical use case for when a client needs a transaction licensee is, let's say you owned an investment property, you had owned it for 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and you had a long-term tenant that had been living in that property for a really long time. You and the tenant got to talking one day and you said to yourself, you know what, I think I want to sell this investment property. I don't think I want to be a landlord anymore. And the tenant said, oh, well, geez, I love it here and would love to buy it off of you. And that tenant and that landlord work out all of the details. They work out price, timing. The tenant's been living there forever, so they know everything about the house. There isn't anything about the house they're not aware of. And so they've negotiated all the details, and all they need is someone to prepare the paperwork. That's most cases the offices that do allow transaction licensee, you can only charge about 1% for doing the paperwork of the total sale price. But Keller Williams Collegeville, our errors and omissions insurance does not allow us to operate as a transaction licensee. If you're not comfortable talking about that in the meeting, skip that particular one and just when you get to the point of where that client is reading the document before they sign it, you can just kind of wait and see if they have a question. You then want to explain that no matter which agency relationship that particular client is entering into with you, that you have a fiduciary responsibility to that client, right? You have to exercise a professional care. You have to make sure that you are not violating the real estate code of ethics or RELRA. You need to make sure that you are operating in good faith and that you will be operating in that client's best interest. I then will get to the bottom of the second page and I will explain, that both of us, the client and myself, need to sign and date it. I'll give you a few minutes to read the document, and then when you're ready, we can move forward. That pretty much covers the consumer notice. Make sure you guys are reading these documents. Practice, practice, practice. If you have any questions, hop on my calendar.